So good morning to everybody who's joined us, and thank you for taking some time. This is the next in the series of Galway Technology Centre's Coffee Break webinars, where we bring you some information on a topic that is that is in the media or that is of interest to business at a particular time. So in terms of the format and some housekeeping, if anybody has any questions, if they can put them into chat, and we will get to them at the end after Sean's presentation. We are also recording the webinar this morning, and it will be available. We can email it out, and we will be putting it up on our website, and we can send you a link to it afterwards. So please do send any questions through, and let us know if there's anything that you would like us to follow up. I know that Breda and Sean, we can share their details by email afterwards if you have any follow-up after the webinar. So just to get started, just some general, I suppose some general comments from us on the whole topic of Brexit. It's been almost 4.5 years. It was June 2016 when the UK voted to leave the EU, believe it or not. And since that time, as we all know, vast amounts of work have been put in by Ireland, the UK and the EU into how that separation and that divorce might work, and the withdrawal agreement was finally put together in January and signed in February of this year. Now we have less than 15 weeks to go, and Brexit is back in the spotlight. So no matter what happens over the next 15 weeks, and whether a trade agreement is reached or whether we revert to WTO tariffs, the transition period is coming to an end on the 31st of December. So with this in mind, in terms of business, change is inevitable. No matter what happens in the next 15 weeks, change is inevitable. So as businesses, we must look beyond January 1st, and the limited time that we have should be used to check our businesses, check, I suppose, the resilience of your supply chains, check where you're holding your information, check where the services you use may originate, along with any customs and VAT requirements. The government has provided a range of supports to help you with this, and today we are privileged to be joined by Breda Fox, Head of Enterprise from the local enterprise office in Galway, who is going to take you through some of them. She will outline the current supports that government are rolling out through Irish business across all sectors through the local enterprise office and Enterprise Ireland. We're also joined by Sean Cummings from Keltie. Keltie is a London headquartered company, and they began making their Brexit contingency plans over 4 years ago with the establishment of an office in the EU, indeed in Galway Technology Centre. And since 2016, Sean has played an active part in the business community in the West, and has provided lots of support for the business networks to innovators and startups in the region. So in 2017, Sean offered his thoughts on Keltie's move to Galway and in securing an EU office. And we're joined by him today now 3 years on, and he's going to really bring us up to speed on what's happened in those last 3 years, and what Keltie's plans are, and just some insights from Keltie's perspective and what Brexit means to them. So the speakers will speak for about 10 minutes each, and we'll take some questions at the end. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Breda.
Thank you, Niamh, and good morning, everyone. It's very strange times, I know, for us all over the last 6 months dealing with the pandemic, and hot on the heels of that, and right in the middle of it, indeed, we're facing the red zone of 1/1/21 and Brexit coming at us. So I'm going to ignore the politics and basically just talk about the main areas of concern for you in your businesses at this time. Obviously, some of you may already have customers in the UK, or a lot of you I know will be buying supplies through the UK market, and you're going to be impacted. I was looking at the currency exchange rates this morning. We're at 91 cents this morning. So that's a fairly high currency rate for a lot of businesses that might be dealing in food and in certain sectors. So currency is obviously a huge area of concern for you in your business preparing for Brexit. Competition is going to be an issue. Sourcing of your raw materials, customs and logistics. What's going to happen on the 1st of January? Will the trucks still get through? Will there be a land bridge? We also have certain areas of concern as regards regulations and standards. Are you prepared for changes in your CE marking and your other regulatory requirements if you're involved in medical devices, etc. Obviously, you have to deal with the tariffs and VAT if the WTO rates come in. And we also have issues around the movement of people. So I suppose in terms of what do you do with a lot of those areas of risk, the first thing I would encourage you to do is not to panic. Go onto your local Enterprise Office website, or if you're an Enterprise Ireland client, go onto their website and do the Brexit scorecard questionnaire if you haven't done it already, and hopefully a lot of you have. That will help you work through the areas where you're going to be impacted, and it will give you a focus for your preparatory work between now and January if it hasn't already started. There are a number of agencies involved in giving a lot of excellent support. We have the local enterprise offices who I represent. You have Enterprise Ireland, you have Intertrade Ireland, you have the Strategic Banking Core of Ireland, and you have the Revenue Commissioners. The Revenue Commissioners have been extremely proactive in dealing with businesses that they know by virtue of your VAT returns and your other returns are already doing business in the UK. So hopefully all of you will have received an EORI number from the revenue. If you don't know what that is, you really need to get on top of that, and I would encourage you to book in for one of the over 20 customs training courses that are currently available across the local enterprise office network. You go on to localenterprise.ie and book a free customs training course. We had one last week in Galway. We'll be running another 2 between now and Christmas, and there's another 30 local enterprise offices also doing the same. There's no excuse in not getting prepared for that. So in relation to one-to-one advisory supports, we have Brexit advisors, a panel of Brexit advisors across finance, customs, market development strategies, because I suppose the other thing that strikes me in this is the UK is still a very valuable trading partner for us. So we shouldn't ignore the fact that there are market opportunities there. So we have business development people that can help you work through those issues and the risks involved in that. We also have a lot of financial people on our panel of mentors who will work with you on your currency preparedness if you have purchases coming through from the UK. If you don't know what a 20% currency fluctuation is going to do to your figures, now's the time to find out. So I'd encourage you to get in touch with your local enterprise office and get the services immediately of a Brexit support to work with you on an audit, a detailed audit on a one-to-one basis going forward. We also run a large range of training and other workshops to help you prepare cash flow, finance, marketing, social media. I'd encourage you to look at our websites, and if any of you are tuning into this from outside Galway, your local enterprise office throughout the country will also have those programs available for you. We have a fabulous support to help you get your business up online. It's called a Trading Online Voucher. Currently that support is available at 90%. And just to give you a context of the interest in that and helping people develop an online trading portal for their business and helping them to grow their exports or grow their online sales, we have done 10 times the amount of approvals on that support that we did last year. So it's available on a rolling basis. It's an online application form, and I'd encourage you to go onto our website and have a look at that. We can also help you access working capital. If you're impacted by Brexit, you can apply for a Brexit loan through the Strategic Banking Core of Ireland. We'll help you with your business plan and that application, or alternatively with Microfinance Ireland, who currently have a 25k offer available to businesses who are impacted by Brexit. The other key support, I mentioned competitiveness in terms of one of the areas to be conscious of in terms of preparing for Brexit is we have a fabulous support called Lean for Micro. So it's where somebody will work with you on a one-to-one basis, improving your cost base, improving the way your business is operating, and helping make you more competitive for the challenges you face going ahead. So what I would say to you is don't stick your head in the sand, just do it. Get online, complete our scorecard, engage with us, and avail of the mentoring supports relevant to your business on a one-to-one basis, and just get Brexit ready. I know it's a lot on your plate, probably dealing with the COVID impacts on your business, but it's not going away. It's a red zone that's facing us in 15 weeks, as Niamh said. So I'd encourage you to get proactive, get out there. All the supports and services are free and for nothing. There is no excuse. So please contact your local enterprise office, go online, see what we can do to help you prepare for this. Thanks.
Thank you, Breda. And I know we said we'd keep, and we will address questions coming in from our audience at the end, but just to confirm that the supports are available across all sectors. Am I correct in that? They're available.
That's correct.
Services, whether you're trading goods, trading services.
Doesn't matter. If you have a business and you're concerned, call us. We'll assign you a mentor.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So a lot of different supports available there, you know, so as Breda said, just get in touch and raise your concerns and your issues, and the local enterprise office are there to support you through this, or Enterprise Ireland.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention there's a new support actually available to local enterprise office clients from Enterprise Ireland at the moment, and it's a €9,000 support available to any business who hires somebody to deal with the customs work that's going to be involved in either shipping product out of the country or getting product in the country. It's a €9,000 support available to all businesses. You have to have an EORI number. You have to be trading outside the country to get it, but it's available, and it's an online application process available through Enterprise Ireland. So that could be very attractive to people who are actually facing customs paperwork for the first time since the 1970s, you know.
Great. That's great. Okay, we thank you, Breda. We'll hand over to Sean now to speak to you about Keltie's experiences and Sean's experiences, and I know a couple of questions as well around intellectual property in the UK and all of that. Sean, we can deal with them towards the end or during your talk. So I'll leave it up to you now. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Niamh. Thank you, Breda, for the information. Good morning to you all. When I was first asked to do this talk, I feared that the moment you hear my English accent, that the very first thing I should do is to apologise on behalf of the British for this omnishambles that we've inflicted on the rest of Europe, and Ireland especially. But rest assured, you won't find anybody more anti-Brexit than me. Let me just say I'm incredibly grateful that my parents had the foresight to be born in Galway. So I'm going to say a little bit about our business, because I think it's representative in some ways about the general experiences. About the ways in which we felt that Brexit would impact us and the things that we chose to do to mitigate that risk. Our experience of Brexit so far, and also what our experience could potentially teach other businesses like the attendees today. So a little bit about me. I'm a European patent, trademark and design attorney. I've been a partner in a UK-based IP firm, Keltie LLP, for many years. And as you can tell from the word European in my job title, we have significant interest in how the European project unfolds. Because we actually belong to the first European profession. We act before the European IP offices in much the same way as a barrister or a solicitor will act before the court. One great thing that has developed as a result of European integration down the years has been that we can protect an invention, a brand or a design in multiple territories across Europe by filing a single application for any of those particular rights. incredibly convenient for our direct clients who previously would have had to file separate patent design or trademark applications in each territory. And also for our agency clients. Now, these are law firms overseas who have their own direct clients who wish to file in Europe, but it's originating potentially from, say, North America, China, Japan, wherever it might be. So they're law firms like us who send cases on behalf of their clients to us in Europe. And we have competed for many years with other firms across Europe for that business, and it's a significant chunk of our practice. So everything was progressing nicely. European integration was working well for us. And then at roughly 6 a.m. on the 24th of June 2016, things changed. They changed utterly, as Lex would say. And we woke up to the shock that the Brexit vote had actually been confirmed. The horror for us was that immediately we recognised that if Brexit was going to be a hard one, and it seems like it's going to be, that all UK-based European attorneys like me would lose the right to act before the EU bodies. And we would immediately lose a significant chunk of our business. And in fact, that was confirmed pretty quickly. So during the emergency partners meeting that happened that morning, we were already receiving email flyers from European firms basically saying, look, you know, the UK is out of the picture now, send all your work to us. So we were already seeing the kind of white heat competition at that very early stage. So we felt that we needed to do something. And that's one lesson I think for everybody is, you know, as Breda clearly said, don't put your head in the sand, don't ignore this. You have to act. If you're going to be impacted, act. And we could see the impact beginning straight away. So we decided to act quickly. In view of my background, not only am I the Irish connection through my parents, but also I've had a home in Connemara for many years before Brexit. I was able to propose a solution to my partners. I put my hand up and said, listen guys, you know, let's open in Ireland, and not only in Ireland, but also in Galway. And for many reasons beyond Brexit, Galway has been a really good place to be. So I think the second lesson here is it's not merely a case of potentially just trying to do the minimum to deal with or to mitigate the Brexit risk, but actually try to turn it into a positive. If you're going to do something, do it in a way that's going to add to your business, that's going to lead to greater diversity. Turn a lemon into lemonade is one of my favourite sayings, and that's one of the approaches that we wanted to take. And certainly that for us has been a significant benefit. So we made the decision very, very quickly, late June, early July, and we opened very, very quickly in Galway, in fact, on the 1st of September 2016. So we've just celebrated our 4th anniversary on ground in Galway. And you know, huge credit to the entire Galway business community, so through GTC, through our friends at the Portershed, we're also a corporate member, through Galway Chamber. The whole connection has just been a fabulous welcoming thing for us, so thanks again for that. So here we are now, 4 years later. I must admit that, you know, in our worst nightmare, we couldn't have imagined that in 4 years we'd still be talking about Brexit and still talking about uncertainty of Brexit. It's astonishing that over so many years that we still haven't got to the certainty that we need. But let's be clear, we're in this transition period. Now Brexit, don't forget, has already happened. Okay, so there's no point in saying, well, you know, it might be softened, it might be this, it might be that. The fact of it is, it has happened already. We're in a transition period where the sands of time are running out incredibly quickly, and it is shaping up very sadly because of this collision between a UK government that runs on gut instinct and the EU that's a rules-based institution. It's not going to end well. It's shaping up to be almost a racing certainty that if it's going to be either a no-deal Brexit or a very, very thin deal Brexit that effectively leaves an awful lot to be dealt with after the end of the transition period. So this uncertainty, sadly, is not going to end at the end of this year. It may well be that the EU takes the view that they'll let the UK leave, And then the UK will probably come back asking for a trade deal, perhaps chastened with their tail between their legs in the future. But that's going to take years. So, you know, you're not going to get the certainty that you crave. You actually have to take measures to kind of create your own certainty. Bear in mind that the UK has gone from a Britannia rules the waves attitude to a Britannia waves the rules attitude. So we're in a situation here where all bets are off. So for us, let me just sort of briefly talk about the impact on IP. That has become now clearer. There's no impact on patents, I'm pleased to say, because the patent system is not an EU system. There is a European patent system that is independent of the EU. The only effect is that a European patent system, an EU patent system that was due to come in to help make it easier to enforce patents across Europe, that has probably died a death. But because it had never come in, we haven't lost anything. Is what I mean. The impact on EU trademarks and designs, though, is much more profound. So, because there is an EU system of trademarks and designs. Good news is, if you already have an EU registration, you're going to get a free UK registration at the end of this year. But eventually, some bad news, it will require separate renewal fees when it eventually comes up for renewal. And from next year onwards, you'll need to register in the UK and the EU separately. So that's just really the main impact on IP. But also, as a business like ours, where we act for a wide range of clients, we're also a bit of a cross-section, I suppose, of the economy. We see multinationals to SMEs. And certainly we've seen among our multinational clients, and especially those that are manufacturing businesses like car industry clients, relying on the import and export of goods, there has been a really significant reluctance to invest. And that's something that is a deep concern. So I would just resonate with the point that was made earlier, that you need not just look at yourself, but also obviously look at your own clients and your own trade channels and the chains on which you rely. None of us are immune from that. So it reinforces the point that I would make, which is that you have to identify and address the vulnerabilities that we all have as businesses, and not just for yourself, but also look in terms of how your clients will be reacting. There are some that will be very badly impacted, and maybe you need to pivot away from them and develop new markets. Embrace the inevitable. It's going to happen. It has already happened, and this is a procedure that is going to continue. So embrace it. Don't walk away from it, and actually try to see what you can turn into a positive from it. That has certainly been one lesson from us. I'm incredibly glad that we made the move that we did, and that we made that move quickly. If we hadn't done something and were scrambling to catch up now, I'd be seriously worried for a large chunk of our business. So, you know, please take that as a lesson. But I'd like to end on a positive note, which is that although Brexit is an omni-shambles, it's a disaster. I'm not going to make any excuses for it. It is, if you approach it the right way, from times of change come times of opportunity. And it's an opportunity to create. It's an opportunity to make a new market. For us, it's been an opportunity to develop what is, Brexit aside. I mean, Galway is and has been a fantastic opportunity for us. And I'm very glad that Brexit gave us that push to do what we would probably have ended up doing anyway. And for us, you know, looking forwards, although it's a bad thing for our clients that they will have to file UK and EU trademark applications separately, for us, potentially a good thing. So, you know, there are potentially upsides in this, but you do have to embrace it. Okay, so hopefully that's enough of a positive note, and I'm very happy to hear any questions.
Thank you, Sean. It's great to get your experiences, you know, first-hand experiences, and you're very well into your Brexit journey. So thank you for sharing those with us. There are a number of questions that have come in through chat, so I'm just going to go through them now, and I think we know who's best placed to answer them. So first question is, while many businesses have addressed their direct supply chain from the UK, many haven't looked at their Irish or other EU suppliers' supply chains. So, as in, for example, do they import from the UK? How ready are they for Brexit? So how far back, really, in your supply chain, and do businesses need to go, or is is there an easy answer to that, really?
Well, that's, I suppose, part of the reason that we want people to engage with us on the scorecard. And it's estimated that larger SMEs, the current figures are that probably about 50 odd, about half of them are actually ready. 60% of them, 6 out of 10, are actually ready. But the figure for, I suppose, my cohort clients is a lot less. It's probably 3 out of 10. So it's really, really important that businesses start talking to their suppliers about where their products are sourced from. And I mean, it's as, you could be in a service business and still sourcing products. Like if you think of your hairdresser, all the hair products, where are they coming from? And if those questions, if they're not clear where their supply is coming from at this stage, they really do need to engage.
So really sitting with you, and whether it's mentoring one-on-one, that really they just, as you said, they are going to be impacted and they need to just engage.
Yeah, exactly. And it's basically the first step to me would be to do the scorecard. As a result of that, you'll immediately be assigned a mentor to work with you on a one-to-one basis. So it's like we've probably only done, we have probably about 270 kind of clients that we would have grant aided, but we've probably 1,000 people, more than 2,500 people now that we would have engaged with in various services. But I wouldn't like to tell you how many scorecards we've actually seen done. Yeah. Scary.
Okay, so the next question, what are the implications for intellectual property? Will UK rules change? I guess, Sean, you may have partly answered that already, but do you want to just maybe?
Yeah, sure. I touched on it, but I'll maybe just elaborate a little here. So, as I said, the patents are mercifully unaffected because that was not an EU body. So the only thing that has changed is something that was on the way in, but now no longer will come in relation to this EU protection and enforcement regime. In general, in intellectual property in Europe, there has always been the possibility of the national route and the European route to protect given territories. So in other words, you can have a UK patent application, an Irish patent application on a national level, and you still can, and you always will be able to have that. But in addition, there's the opportunity to have a European patent that covers both of those territories and indeed other territories around Europe. So all of those routes remain alive. But thankfully, the patent side is not affected. The trademark side is affected in that for the UK, previously there was the national route and the European route through the EU's trademark system, but for the UK, that essentially has now been removed. So the only way of protecting something now in the UK is on a national level, rather than through the EU level. So it means there is going to be a fragmentation. It's going to be necessary to have more than one trademark application to cover the former EU territory.
Okay, so if anybody finds themselves in that situation, Sean, really they need to engage with Keltie or whoever they are dealing with in terms of filing those.
Yes. So as mentioned, if you already have an EU trademark registration or design registration, that will go through a process we call cloning. So it will turn into a parallel UK national registration and an EU 27 registration. So it will divide automatically and without cost. And this is something that's independent of whether there's a deal or not, because it's in the UK's interests for UK nationals to protect their IP after Brexit. So this doesn't rely upon the withdrawal agreement being observed or otherwise. So all of this will happen for free. The one thing you need to be aware of is that suddenly you'll then have another registration to manage. And if you're responsible for your own deadline dates and renewal reminders and such like that, then make sure that you're up to date with that. Otherwise, your trademark attorney firm should be able to deal with that for you.
Okay. And for one of our attendees this morning, they have ongoing patent applications in the UK. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I presume it's the same advice.
No effect on those, thankfully.
Okay, and let me just see. Okay. Another question here again. In relation to the requirement to apply for an EORI number, Breda, I know you've mentioned this a couple of times. Am I correct in thinking that this only applies for the import-export of goods?
Yeah, it's aligned to physical goods. But if you are doing business with the UK afterwards, you will have impacts in terms of, you know, maybe your data, IP, as Sean has mentioned. So even if you are in a service business, I'd still encourage you to
apply.
Yeah.
And that's done through revenues on online service, through Ross, I assume.
Yeah, or you can, there's Q&As available on the revenue sites. But you could have issues around your legal contracts, all of those areas. You know, what are your terms for your service delivery? You know, do you have IP? Do you have legal obligations? Who owns the data? All of those issues will need to be addressed.
Great. And then just around data, actually one question that came in offline was around, you know, I suppose we would deal with a number of software and software as a service companies here in GTC, and you know, while they may feel, some of them may seem that they're not being, I suppose, directly impacted, if people are holding their data in the EU, if their data is in data centres in the UK, I'm assuming there are implications around GDPR that the UK, so really, while it might not be obvious that you're impacted in terms of the import-export piece.
Yeah, and the Data Protection Commissioner has issued guidance in relation to that. There are impacts and they need to make themselves aware of it.
So really, no matter what, I suppose you know, what type of business you're in, you really just do need to ask and answer the Brexit impact question.
Like, even if you have a contract, we'd say, in terms of your customers versus you know, where their data is being maintained. If it's not being maintained, if it's being maintained in the UK, it's effectively outside the EU come January, you know, so that has implications, and you need to be aware of what those are.
So I'm just looking at the time here, we're running right up. Any closing remarks from you, Breda?
No, I would say to people, please engage. If you're a Leo client, engage with us. If you're an EI client, engage with them. There are supports out there, they're free. We're really eager to get working with clients on this again. I suppose the last 6 months we've been totally focused on working with people in terms of sustaining businesses and employment through the crisis, the pandemic. But Brexit is coming at us. Please re-engage with us. Even if you've had Brexit advisory services before, the new landscape post-COVID, have a look at them again.
Thank you, Breda. And Sean, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, well, it's interesting actually, because COVID, of course, has dominated the agenda for understandable reasons for several months. And it has in many ways, I think, parked Brexit considerations for too long, and now we have to come back to this. But if there's another positive that can potentially come from these two bad events, is that the preparations and the flexibility that businesses have shown to address COVID could potentially be repurposed also to help to address Brexit. So, for example, opening new markets and developing communications is probably easier now in some respects than otherwise it would have been, because people are more now receptive to new solutions and new ways of doing business. So, you know, do think outside the box and do embrace the opportunities that change presents.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Sean. I think there is, you know, an opportunity out there, and, you know, we are all tired, you know, from the events of 2020. All businesses are fatigued, you know, people are fatigued, but I mean, there are a lot of positives, and there is optimism out there. There's scope for growth in the UK, there's scope for growth in the EU. I think something I read a piece in 1973 when Ireland joined the EEC, as it was at the time, 80% of our exports were to the UK, and now that figure is at about 10%. It's still 80 billion euros worth, so it's obviously massive, but I think you know, we are all going to be impacted. It is happening, so it's really to try and address it, and maybe try and address it with a bit of optimism. So thank you for that, and I think one of your quotes that you use, Sean, making lemonade out of a lemon, earlier on in this webinar sort of struck with me. So I think that's, we can close on that for people just to try and sort of face up to it, deal with it. The supports are there, Breda, you have a team of people and that are ready to help. So for any businesses that have any queries, just pick up the phone or drop an email. And again, thank you to everybody for joining us this morning. This webinar will be available online, and we can share the links that Breda mentioned, the local enterprise office, and the support and the scorecard to everybody who is registered. And if anyone has any questions or follow-up, please feel free to send them through and we will pass them on. So thank you.